Welcome to Trans Fabulous. My name is Sasha Saide. I am the co-founder of Trans Sisters United. And today we have a very special guest, the Victorian LGBTQIA+ Commissioner, Joe Ball. But before we start, I would like to acknowledge the Wurundjeri people of the Kulin Nation. I pay my respect to their elders past, present and emerging, always was and always will be Aboriginal land. And I also would like to extend my respect to our trans elders past and present. Joe Ball is the Victorian Commissioner for LGBTIQA+ Communities, appointed on 23rd September 2024. For the 3-year term, he is a proud transgender man and long-standing LGBTQIA+ advocate with 25 years experience in disability, housing, homelessness, and social services. Previously serving as CEO at Switchboard Victoria, where he led the creation of the Rainbow Door Helpline, and has served on multiple advisory committees while also being recognized in 2020 as one of the Australia's 50 outstanding LGBTQIA+ leaders. Welcome, Joe.
Thank you, Sasha. It's so nice to be here again, back in the studio.
I know. I always wanted you to be on my show, but you always seems to be busy. I saw you here last year, and I always thought you are trans fabulous. You have achieved so much in your life, because this show is all about celebrating trans achievements, and we hardly hear that a lot, especially in the media. They always like to talk about our traumas. They were so interested in our traumas. So I want to change that dynamic and talk about our celebration and what we have achieved in our life, right?
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah, so okay, let's start from the start. When did you first become aware that you were a trans person?
Like a lot of trans people, there's sort of these different moments. And I definitely remember from a very early age understanding that I felt ambivalent or sometimes hostile towards feminine things and femininity, and being drawn towards more masculine things. And I was always called a tomboy, which was sort of one of those things. However, I never knew that trans men existed until I was 19 years of age.
Right.
Which I was telling young people this recently, and when I said to this group of people who are around 15 years of age, I said, "Oh, I found out when I was 19," and they're like, "Oh." Because of course they found, they found out a lot younger, which is fantastic. But I found out when I was 9. I just didn't know that it could happen. I had some kind of understanding about trans women, mainly just through pop culture, movies like The Birdcage, and not necessarily flattering shows. And then I guess for me it was when I saw Boys Don't Cry. Yes, such a hard film starring Hilary Swank about the true story of Brandon Teena.
Yes.
And so in one moment I first heard a range of words. One was that he was living his life as a man, and he was doing things like strapping his chest and presenting himself with a male name. But he also said this word that I'd never heard before, which he said to someone, "I have a gender identity crisis." And I was like, which is what we used to say in sort of the Western world, I guess, at that time. And so I was like, oh, a gender identity crisis. And I took those words that I got from that movie, and I went and saw the Queensland AIDS Council at the time, and I said, walked in there and said, "I've got a gender identity crisis." Now we would, there's a whole range of terms and the more positive ways to put it. But if I hadn't seen that film, I think it even though it wasn't a positive representation, I knew that there was things in that film that led me to be able to talk about it for the first time. And that was so important. So it was 19 that I had words for it, but I think as early as I can remember, it was a niggle, something.
For me, it was Soldier's Girl.
Oh,
that movie about that transgender woman who fall in love with the American soldier. I feel like that was me in that movie, where there's a lot of discrimination and prejudice outside, and so that's where it confirmed that I'm actually a transgender woman.
Were you afraid? Like I felt afraid.
I wasn't afraid. Maybe because I was very young. I was very young, and I don't have any feelings of being afraid or being remote. Maybe because I grew up in Singapore, I think the violence would be a bit more different than here. I don't know, because Singapore, there's still violence towards transgender women, but I think not as violent as when I came here and when I heard a lot of stories over here, a lot about like trans bashing, gay bashing, yeah.
Because that was the thing that I was left with, was, because it's the true story of him, was that in the end he's raped and murdered.
Yes.
Right. Like, and so I always feel like I think of the film in two parts.
Yeah.
The time where he's sort of living his life, even though it's ominous throughout the film, but then the point where he sort of becomes hunted in a way. But I sort of think about it as in two ways. But when I watched it, I sort of thought it felt like a really, like a darkness, because it wasn't a positive representation. So now I think, wow, young people get to read about it in nice children's books. You know, they're like
I mean, this is the old times, right? Especially in the representation of trans people is always negative. So this is partly why Trans Fabulous was created, because of all the negative reviews and representation in media. I think also a few years ago, I think the Hollywood, especially with the trans gender people, they did a call out about these issues, about you know, why are we always being represented being always so negative. So yeah, it's so unfortunate that we had to learn the hard way. When we were younger, but things are changing, but we're not there yet for sure. Who would first inspire you to live authentically and unapologetically?
So I didn't medically transition until I was 40.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's quite late. Yeah. Well, you know, but ironically, I would say, not ironically, but was hearing the stories about older people that were transitioning. Yeah. More people who were like 50 and above, and realizing it was not too late. Because I think I had this idea in my head that it was too late. Yeah. At 40, and because I'd lived a life, I guess. A part of a life. Yeah. And so I thought that, you know, could I really turn it around? You know, like and become something different. But I think from one person for me was people who watch this might remember or know of her, Sally Conning. Yeah. Right, is this older woman who's in like, now she must be in her late 70s. Yeah. And I met her, and she was working in a petrol station in Montague in Victoria. And I remember meeting her, and she didn't transition until she retired from that job, which was in her 70s. Yeah. And I thought, wow, if Sally can do this in country Victoria, you know, and like has lived her life, and she can start hormones, and she can start, you know, the different treatments and things that she did, start dressing and at full time and everything. I thought, well, I can. Yeah. So I feel like it was actually an everyday person. Yeah. Rather than like a celebrity for me. How about you? Was there a person? Yeah, there is. It's actually a local transgender woman in Singapore. Her name is Sasha as well. Okay. Yeah. But they call her Sasha Model because she always like built like model, like dark skin, always very polished, you know, very manicured, everything. She always looks so good. So I always like, when I was young, I was like, oh my God, I really want to be looking like her. She looks so good. And then when I came here, a person that inspired me was Sandra Pankhurst. And I got to know her personally, and until her last day, she was an amazing transgender woman. Even she was sick, she said, Sasha, this is part of life, you know, as we grow older, this is what we have to go through. But you know what? If I'm dead today, I have fulfilled everything that I want to do in my life. And that stuck to me till today. Because of her, Trans Sisters United was, because of her, she's the one who encouraged us to create Trans Sisters United because of her. I met her a couple of times before she died, but you know, wouldn't have called her a friend, but read her book, The Trauma Cleaner. Yeah, The Trauma Cleaner. And I thought it was incredible. I mean, she had a lot of violence. Yes, a lot of violence in her life. But she had so much love in her heart for her, for other people. Yeah. Like, it was an incredible, I could see why she would inspire. Like, I think she's very inspiring.
Very inspiring, because she said, like, if you choose this path, you will know what's the risk that's gonna happen. Like, let's say sex work, you know, she said you will meet a lot of crazy men in your life, and you know, but you know the risk that you are taking. You need to know that. Yeah, so you can't play yourself as a victim because you know the risk that you're taking. There's nothing negative about, even though the things that she gone through, like being beaten up by men, but she still see it as a positive way, you know, as positive in life. When did you realize that you wanted to advocate professionally for your peers, and what led you to do that decision?
I never thought that it would be a job. I probably started from an early age being an activist. Yeah, and I felt like that would be something I would spend the rest of my life doing while there was ever injustice. And I probably like came at more human rights issues first, rather than what we now call LGBTI issues. I sort of like, in the era that I was being an activist first, is, you know, well, it was for a free East Timor, you know, what was happening in Indonesia, and what Indonesia was doing to the Timorese, and so
I had a guest who was from East Timor.
Oh, right, right.
Trans Fabulous,
Yeah, so I think that was something that really impacted me, like sort of at a time, and started to make me think about us as a country and people and asylum seekers. And after that, I became very involved in like asylum seeker activism, and like the idea that people, you know, should be able to come here, and that we should accept far more refugees than we do, really, and that we should never lock people up in detention like we do. And so that was activism. And I became, at some point, I started to think about stuff for us, I guess. And one of the things that, and it wasn't marriage equality at all. It was actually just things about having kids. So like there was a particular thing where Howard said that, you know, lesbians, same-sex couples couldn't have access to IVF, and he banned it. And that's only been sort of recently, fairly recently, completely reversed, and now is free. But like when I was younger, that was a big thing, and I thought, you know, like that was like, we should be able to have the right to have kids. And so I think I came in at that way, was about having families and having the same right. Even at that age in my 20s, I didn't think that I would have kids, because that's sometimes how you feel. You got to work that through as a trans person, and it doesn't always play out. But I did think that we should have a right. We as people should have a right to. So that's how I came at it. But I never conceived of it as a job until I guess jobs started to emerge. And that first time was at Switchboard.
I know. And and you were at Switchboard as a CEO. How long were you there for?
7.5 years.
Wow.
Yeah. So, and I said I'd stay for around 7 years. So I think it's good to go in and spend a bit of time in the organisation. And it was very small when I started. There was 3 staff. And I was the first full-time person to work in the organisation. And it was had 2 programs. I mean, today it has over 60 staff. When
I first came to Australia, to Melbourne, I didn't realize that there was trans rights, because, you know, living in Singapore, we always have to adapt that discrimination where there's no protection for transgender women. And then when I came here, I learned about trans rights, and to be honest, it's like a reborn for me. And I learned about self-worth. To be honest, I didn't even know what self-worth was. I just adapt to anything that is thrown at me. And a lot of transgender women in Singapore are like that. And they always keep saying, like, this is part and parcel. If you transition, you have to adapt to this. And I refuse to adapt to that. It's sad that whenever I go back to Singapore, the transgender women still going through all this discrimination, and they couldn't do anything about it. So that's why being here, I want to have a lot of friends so I can advocate for them, especially for the migrants and asylum seekers who don't know their rights here.
I think what we both have in common is we have a fire in ourselves. You know, like we're, I don't know, we both seem to be able to pick ourselves up. You know, like fall down, pick up, get up, get up. You know, like,
that's
you know, and not. I mean, you sort of like. And I think, I guess that's the activist spirit in you, where you sort of feel like the injustice in some ways, lights this fire, and it makes you,
for sure. You are now the Victorian Commissioner for LGBT communities. It is a significant role. When did you realize it was the right moment for you to step into this position? How did you feel when you found out that you were being appointed?
I had a lot of trepidation about it, if I'm really honest, because the role that I was in was a role of service, and direct service. Like you really are helping people on some of the hardest days in their life. Like, and it feels very practical what you're doing. And I knew that going into commissioner role, it's more advocacy. It's a bit more abstract some days. And so I wasn't sure that I really wanted it for a while. And I sort of thought to myself, I will let the interview process be genuine, in the sense that I will be interviewing to find out as well, and I'm going to tell them exactly who I am, and I'm going to tell them exactly what I'm going to do. And I thought, if they accept that, if they accept the kind, because I was like, I'm not going to lose my voice. I'm not going to go into this role that I know as a public service. I know my voice sometimes, it definitely has to be maintained, and I can't say everything I want all the time, but I was like, I didn't want to lose, I wanted to still be able to be a vocal and be myself. And so I think actually through the interview process, I became more convinced that the job was right. So I'd say like it was an emergence. And I think when they told me that I had the job, I remember the other thing that happened to me is I realized not long before that, I had also realized that I was about to be a father. So the two things happened at once. And because, as I say, I applied for them both at the same time. I went through the process of both of them at the same time. I mean, I have a little bit of woo-woo in me where I feel like sometimes if things are meant to be, they're meant to be. And so when I did sort of think, well, I'm excited, but it's meant to be.
It's lovely to see like you're so involved as well, like being present at a lot of events as well. And that's what we love. I mean, like, I think being a leader, I think a lot of us, we want to see our leader being present all the time, right? I know commissioner can be very busy, but you still make time for the community.
Well, I like people, so that helps. I do, but I also, when you go to an event, it's never passive. Like you're always there listening, like, and I'm always getting something out of it. Like I went to that pre-Ramadan event.
Cahaya Ramadan?
Recently. And I'm still thinking about you on the stage and what you said about your own faith journey. And I'm always learning. Like you talked about your journey about coming and going and coming back. And I think, so events are not passive, they're active things. You're also there to listen as well as to speak, So I do see it as like core to my work.
I think, but a lot of communities see you as like you're always present for them, so which is really
nice.
nice.
Well,
it's
that's
nice.
good. It's good because I try to be. And you can't do everything every time and everywhere in Victoria. But, I try and use technology and things like that to allow, sometimes I can't get to something, so I make a video or try and lots of different ways.
When you imagine the future, what does a truly inclusive and celebratory world look like?
I think it's one where people just have real choice, like real choice in everything, and freedom of movement. Like I think that's such a core constraint on so many of us. We live in this like wonderfully big, diverse world, but we are actually constrained, and a lot of us are constrained by the national borders, and and I think of a future where we can all move, and that our identities don't stop us from moving, whether that's your nationality or your gender identity, that you could actually move and be and experience the world. And I think that's definitely a future. And I think also like being able to move, maybe movement is the theme, but being able to move throughout your life. Like for me, like that I felt that feeling I had where I started in the interview, I said about where I felt like I was maybe too late. And I feel like people should feel like they can move, they can at any age, at any time, You know,
It's
like
true.
that we can sort of feel this
Yeah.
this move within yourself, move within your, you know, like just I think that there's some
It's
that's
true.
that's what freedom is.
Yeah,
It's the
yeah, yeah.
freedom, and that can be a freedom to live a small life.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, with
Yeah,
with
yeah.
your cat in your house and
Yeah.
and your partner, and
Yeah.
it can be a small life.
Yeah.
But it can be. But I think as long as that's the one you really chose, rather
Yeah.
than the one you feel that's imposed upon you. Yeah.
I think the moral story here is it's never too late.
Mm.
I mean, a lot of things happening for me at the age of 40. We are the same age.
Yeah, yeah.
And a lot of things happening for me at the age of 40. I become like a model for Global Indigenous Runway, having my organization, having a TV show, and yeah, a lot of things happening for me when I reach 40.
We have like a synchronicity about because that was the same with me with 40.
Yeah,
I don't know, maybe it's just
yeah.
the like turning of the time. Or,
Yeah, I know.
But it was COVID. Did you have for me, COVID played a big role.
My advocacy just went through the roof during COVID. It's all through Zoom. Katie Cameron is the one who, because I already knew Katie Cameron before. She was an editor for Red magazine.
Oh, yes, that's right.
So Katie is the one that Sasha, I would love to have you to be on a panel. And yeah, she's the one who got my name out there. And then people got to know who Sasha is. And yeah, I know.
That's so interesting.
Because of her, my name was out there. So I still remember to today, Katie Cameron. I always keep saying thank you to her because of her, my advocacy work just go through the roof during COVID. You have a beautiful partner and also a new baby daughter who is so cute, by the way. How do you navigate your personal life and alongside with such demanding job?
I was actually writing about this recently. I do a lot of sort of journaling, I guess.
Yeah.
To sort of that's actually one way is journaling.
Yeah.
I write. I do write down my thoughts, and but I think that I'm quite boundaried, I guess, with my family.
Yeah.
Like we talk about a lot about what we're going to go to together, and how I'm going to structure my life, my working life, so I can be a very present father. Yeah. And one way I do that is like I do just the mornings all the time. Rose is up at like 6 a.m. I'm up at 6 a.m. and you know I have the morning routine with her. Yeah. And if it's a day where I'm not at work, I might have the whole day with her from the morning onwards, with my partner as well. Yeah. But I think sometimes it's just till I go to work, and I think it's about working with my team in the office to maintain that's really important. I think that I also have boundaries around like how we're photographed and things, and events that we think we like to take her to. There's just some events that we know are going to be family friendly and good. Yeah. And it's funny, we always say this, it's the Ramadan events. Yeah. It's true though. It is, because I think there's always kids there.
Always kids, yeah.
Yeah, and there's always food.
Yes.
Of course. And it's really interesting. It's like these really basic things you need to be family friendly, but lots of queer events aren't necessarily. Correct. And I always find that people at those events are really happy to like take Rose up.
Ramadan iftar events is not so queer.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's
coming
like
together.
People just come as themselves because there's a lot of allies as well. So so it doesn't like shout it's queer events. Unlike like a lot of other queer events, it can be a bit in your face.
I think that's right. Like I know it's going to be family.
Yeah.
So I do think there's things that we go to. The first time this year, we took her to the Pride March. Yes. But again, that was mitigated by we got a photo with the Premier. Yeah. But I turned to the Premier and I said, Rose's face can't be in it. Yeah. 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 And, and it doesn't matter who asks for the photo, I say her face can't be in it. Correct. And then the Premier turns to my partner and she says, I completely get it. So people get it, but you still have to put the boundary up.
Of course, you have to.
Otherwise people will take.
Yeah. All right, if you could speak to your younger self, what would you say?
I would say that you need to relax and have a good time, and that there are people right now in the world that are fighting for your rights and are making the world better right now, ready for when you're ready.
Yeah.
And because I think I was worried about my future.
Of course.
When I was younger, I was really worried about what my future might look like, how I would be in the world, how I would exist. And I would go back to myself and I'd just say, you have fun, you play with the toys you want, you be exactly who you want to be, and when the time comes, the world will be better because people are doing it, and you'll be able to pay those people back.
Yeah.
You know, because you're going to be an activist.
Yes.
So don't worry about it now. Let them do their work, and when you're old enough, you'll pay them back.
What advice would you give to someone who's just beginning their journey towards self-discovery?
Trying to think about what things people said to me that were helpful. I think that there was things that were just really basic that people said to me, is that like, you're treading a path that other people have trod before you, and you're not alone.
Yeah.
And I think that's what I say to people is that your journey will be very unique to you.
Yeah.
But you're not alone
in
that journey, and there's all these people who can walk beside you, and the way they can walk beside you can be very vast and creative. So you might be able to walk, they might be able to walk beside you, someone in another country. Yeah. Like maybe watch them on YouTube. That's what I did. I watched people on YouTube that were coming out. You know, like think of your family in a really big way, and there's lots of people out there, and you just genuinely, wherever you are not alone. Yeah. And you can find those people. Yeah. And there's people that already love you.
If your family doesn't love you, your chosen family will love you.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
And also, I think also you do not have to rush your journey. Your journey, you can take your time. Like we just talked about, it's never too late.
It's never too late.
Yeah, it's never too late. So take your time and discover yourself, and you think what is right for you.
That's right.
Thank you, Joe.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you for being here. Thank you
wonderful.
for being trans fabulous for all of us. Until next time.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.